Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Literacy View World Literacy Summit Recap. So, Judy and I uh, held off on discussing uh, all our adventures at the World Literacy Summit because we were waiting for the videos to come out. So, in case you didn't know, every presentation was recorded and will be shared shortly. Um, in any case, we were holding off and we think it's coming out soon. So hopefully, all the presentations that we talk about tonight, you'll be able to follow up, including ours. So hopefully, you'll be able to catch podcasting for professional development. We had a lot of fun, and we're going to be talking about people we met and what we saw, what we learned, and we hope that you get something out of it. By the way, we started the Literacy View Consulting Services. So check out our website. You could always email us at faithandjudy@gmail.com. That's faithandjudy@gmail.com. And find out what's happening with us this summer as we plan retreats with school districts. So hope you get some information, pass it on to administrators. We're really excited about it.
And if you want to get our full list of services, because we do everything, we'll fly out to you, we'll do everything under the sun in terms of professional development, and it will look like the most engaging, interactive professional development ever. Go to theliteracyview.com. All right. So that's our website where everything's on there.
So
and wait, Faith, be honest. Our literacy services will be a no BS kind of situation. What do you think?
You know what? It's going to be kick-ass fun, and people will learn something, that's for sure. And it's going to be fun, nothing boring. And I think it's going to be a true success. I'm so excited.
Faith, let me see something. Can you show me what you're wearing today? You're looking kind of good.
You too, honey. All right.
Yeah, we did. Wait, let's tell everybody honestly. Did we plan on wearing our merch today?
Together? No.
No.
Let's
show them what we got, Faith. Oh my God.
Where's the evidence?
And you see mine, right? All right. I think people saw enough of our boobs for tonight.
All right, let's go. So, interesting story today, Judy. So, I had a garage sale at my house, and one of the people we had on in the past, Sherry Vale, that's when we had the parents on with their children, talk about all the things that they've done. These were the badass moms. So one of our badass moms came to my garage sale and she gave me an update.
Did you know she was coming?
No. And so she gave me an update about her daughter, Kira, and what she's doing with WordWasp now. And the reason I'm mentioning this is we met at the World Literacy Summit, Nicola Cook and Marie Cowlin. And they are the people behind WordWasp and Hornet. And we were so excited to meet them. We went to the King's Arms with them. That was the pub in Oxford. And
we also went on a ghost hunt with them.
That's right. We went on a ghost tour with them, and they were so much fun. And so they should be very happy that their work is making an impact. And I shared a quick little video on my page and the Literacy View group today. So
Faith, I want to ask you a question. So I'm familiar with it. I've used it as well. What are your top 3 favorite things about WordWasp and Hornet in terms of helping students and student outcomes?
So the record keeping, that I love, love, love. So right in the manual, whoever is doing the coaching with the student is able to keep a record right in the manual and it shows if they are succeeding, and if they had the right number of repetitions, they're able to move on. If they're not getting it, they have to repeat and continue to go over what they were not succeeding in. So I love the record keeping. I love that virtually anyone, whether you have certification as a reading specialist or not. I mean, Sherry has 7 kids and she's a parent, and she was able to do what the school was not able to do. And her daughter couldn't even read the word dog, and going into high school. So I mean, this is such an amazing story. It really is. So I love that anybody could help a child to read as long as you could read yourself. And she, now Kira is like a success story. You can't believe, you have to listen to the video. And then the third thing that I love is that it's really gives equal attention to spelling and reading. And so that orthographic mapping, the writing of the words, everything is, together, the reading and spelling. And I think that's really extremely powerful. So it was great. It was great seeing them.
I
And
tell you my top 2 or 3 favorite things about their program that they have.
sure.
So what I love is, because I've used it as well, and I was so honored to meet them in Oxford as well. They were just such down to earth, cool people.
Oh,
I
sweet.
love that. I love that they're easily accessible. They have their Facebook group. You're on their Facebook group
No,
answering.
my Facebook group.
Right, right.
It's
Yeah.
Word Wasp USA support, USA.
Right. So these are my favorite things. A, they were down to earth people. B, it's very affordable. Uh, these books, they cost very little money. You could help a kid very fast. It's based on OG approach, but it's very, very easy to use. You don't need to have a million supplies. You don't need to have
It's
a
the book,
million magnetic letters, just a book, pencil, paper, so you
paper.
could teach your
That's
kids how
it.
to read efficiently. I also love that the assessment tool is available free online to figure out which book to start with, whether you start with Hornet or Wasp. It's a quick and easy assessment available to anybody, and it's such an easy assessment to give, and it's such an interesting assessment. Even if you're not administering this program, it just gives so much information so quickly to see how kids are doing in terms of spelling and reading. And what else did I really like about it?
It's inexpensive. I mean, that's what's so beautiful. It's
I
it's
think right, it's inexpensive, and in a building, like, first of all, so many older kids are forgotten, so this doesn't look babyish at all. It looks like,
yes,
it provides some dignity to students that have been forgotten. And I also think that it's something that a para professional could be trained in, a parent could do it.
easily.
Even if you don't have 45 minutes a day, you do it for 15 minutes a day, great. And it shows mastery very quickly with the check mark system. I think you should really check it out. I enjoyed meeting them, and I can't wait to learn more about what they're doing. I think they're also going to be advertising with the Literacy View soon, and they'll provide all their contact information and how to reach them and how to order their materials. Highly recommended them. So that was a big highlight. And I think, like you said, the fact that they include that encoding piece, I've seen other similar type of products that don't include encoding. And for me, as a reading specialist that still works with kids, and I'll tell you a funny story about working with the kids today, including that spelling piece is critical. Including that writing piece, you will get much better results if during every session kids are reading and writing. There's no question about it.
That's the whole thing. You might be able to do something that's similar, but you're not going to have it stick like when the kids write it down. Another person we met at the World Literacy Summit was Nikki Parr. And Nikki is a handwriting specialist. And her program is Better Handwritten. Actually, that's her website, Better Handwritten. And she is just the sweetest person. And she is just so talented at what she does. She's actually working with Trey Hadrick a little bit, uh, doing some work with him. And
So go more into detail. I know she didn't present at this conference, but we were hanging out with her a lot, and she
yeah,
was super down to earth, went to a pub together, hung out, and it was amazing. It's like when you hang out with passionate people, it feels like they become family. It was like we were in Oxford for 4 days, and I felt like I was surrounded by my people. And Nikki was definitely one of those people. So tell me a little bit more about what she has in terms of handwriting, because handwriting is completely ignored in a lot of classrooms. I mean, some phonics programs touch on handwriting for a couple of minutes, but handwriting is definitely one of the forgotten pillars of instruction, in my opinion.
Well, she shows a lot of before and after samples of what she does. And I have to tell you, I mean, there are kids with just illegible handwriting, and she just turns it around. She just has, the strategies down that she's able to work with kids and build their confidence. And she does it systematically for handwriting. And, you
Does
know,
she have workbooks that she offers, Faith?
she, I don't know if she does. She has materials. She has created materials. I don't know. I don't know offhand exactly everything, but I know that her website is betterhandwritten.com.
Okay, good. I'm definitely going to check it
Also
out.
out of the UK. And she's just a lovely person. She was somebody that I always spoke with on Twitter. And finally, we met. And she came because she knew that I was going to be there. She wasn't presenting, and she just said, "Oh, I don't think she lives that far from Oxford." And she ended up going there for a few days. And I was like honored that she chose to come so that she could meet us. I thought that was just great. We then another person you'd met for the first time, but I've known for a while, is Hillary Fine. And she's with DK Learning, and she represents phonic books, decodables. And we went to dinner with her. And that
Oh,
was
yeah, that was fun. Who came to dinner with us that night, Faith? It was
it was
Molly Ness.
Molly Ness, and who else?
Did Carrie come with us that night?
Carrie was there. Yes, Carrie
Carrie
Curto,
Coder.
League, and and Marion Waldman, Teach My Kid to Read, and Beth
That
Bever.
was super
Yeah,
fun.
Beth was there too.
Here we were presenting and doing crazy things. And then the best part was that we all got to have girl time, hang out, just chill out,
Yeah.
have dinner.
And so thank you, Hillary. That was wonderful. And she organized that dinner. It was so lovely.
And we actually just recorded an episode, which will be released either before or after this recording, where we highlight decodable text that we think is outstanding. Because you know what? Not all decodables are created equal. And Hillary and Phonic Books creates some products that are definitely high quality. So
yeah, so she represents them. She's not an author, but she's been representing phonic books for a long time. Yeah. So you mentioned Molly, and Molly was the keynote at the World Literacy Summit. Quite an honor, Molly, and did a really nice job.
what was your biggest takeaway from what Molly was saying on stage that night or that morning? She was day one, I think, or day two.
She was like the kickoff keynote. I mean, she was day one. She was day one.
So what was your biggest takeaway from when Molly was talking, Faith?
I just think that access to books is just a real issue worldwide. We know that that's a problem. And, Molly talks about book deserts and how important it is to be able to provide children with books, whether it's through imagination. What is it? Imagination Literacy. It's the Dolly Parton Foundation. I don't remember. I think it's Imagination. I can't remember the second part, but something where they get books. They give out books every month, one book a month for a child through age 5. And so that's really exciting. And I just think her message is so important that, we need to do something to um, level the playing field for sure. And then Carrie Curto was talking about the curriculum navigation reports, and I'm
Yeah,
very
remember?
impressed.
Wait. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, Faith. Faith is going to say that, we wanted to definitely support the Reading League. And, these presentations, you get 20 minutes to say your spiel. Carrie was assigned a slot at 7 in the morning. Faith and I looked at each other and we're like, do we do it? Do we not do it? But you know what? People that are passionate about literacy and want to support each other and support their friends and support people that are doing great work, just do it. And of course, Faith has no patience to wait for her no BS bestie, meaning me. So Faith is there at 6:52. Then there I am running in the streets of Oxford by myself because my partner Paul is having a free breakfast with Faith's husband Mitch because he got a freebie because I was gonna run to see Carrie. So there we are. We saw Carrie in the morning, 7 o'clock. We went to show our support. So tell us more about what we saw, Faith.
So, we wanted to be there for Carrie, and it was the same day that we were presenting. And so, we had to have our heads examined to get up that early and run there. So, Carrie, I hope you appreciate it. But we were there. So, it was about the curriculum navigation report. So, we did an episode on this. So, anybody who wants to learn about that, go back to the Reading League when we had Maria Murray on. Maria wasn't at Oxford this time, but Carrie represented and she did a really nice job. Give her credit. First thing in the morning, really hard when you're the first presentation or the last presentation. Like Marion Waldman, she was presenting for Teach My Kids to Read with Beth Bevers. And they were like the last one of the day. And we went to that one too to support them.
Yeah, let me just say another thing about what Carrie was presenting about. So some of you will catch up on the episode, and if not, this was my main takeaway. So we know that there's no perfect program, there's no perfect curriculums, nothing is perfect, but the Reading League designed a tool that basically will show you how to figure out if it contains elements that your program is evidence aligned, that it has research based elements. Is it going to make your what you're doing perfect? No, but it's guidelines to determine whether you're on the right track. I think it's a great tool. I wish I would see more principals embracing it. I think a lot of principals are overwhelmed and a lot of principals were just mandated to use certain things. But take the time, and the perfect time is even to reflect on these things, maybe, as the school year is ending, thinking about, what does the fall look like? What worked? What didn't work? So definitely check out that tool, right, Faith?
Yep. I loved it. I think it really was well laid out and Carrie did a great job. All right, so moving on, we met Lori Severino. And so Lori is partners
Yes.
from the big Facebook group, What I Didn't Learn in College. And they partnered together to do Credentials Unlimited. We didn't get a chance to see theirs, but we met Lori, and that was our first time meeting Lori, and she was super. That was a lot of fun.
I agree. Lori is super cool. She's now my friend on Facebook. She likes a lot of my posts, so that makes me feel good. She's definitely somebody I want to hang out with and get to know better. I definitely want to learn more about, the concept of, the micro credentials. And the beauty of it is we couldn't attend every session. There was like maybe 400 sessions or so. So the beauty is we're waiting just like you guys are going to be waiting. They're going to release everything, and I'm definitely going to be attending that session to see what else I could learn
Yes,
about micro credentialing.
yes. But I was really impressed with, Lori's passion and, she's not, at least I don't think so. She's not so active with a million things posting. I don't think so, but she really knows her stuff and she was really great to meet.
Yeah, and I thought that what else stood out about her is she does the work. You could tell she works with kids. She's been in the trenches just like you and I. So like you could sense when somebody's in it for the right reasons, and I definitely got that vibe off of Lori. So
Yes, yes. So now we could get to some of the presentations that maybe people will know some of their names. So one presentation that I loved was Usha Goswami, John Gabrielli, and Carla Reyesick. I think that's how you say it. So Usha is with Cambridge, and John Gabrielli, I've seen before. He's at MIT. And I said to Judy, I said, we have to see John Gabrielli. And it was a session on how neuroscience
we
can.
had to see him. And then Faith was there, like Judy, we're getting a picture. He's coming on the Literacy View. He's going to be a no BS bestie. This guy is hot stuff. He knows his stuff inside out. And I think, Faith, he was the recipient of an award at the World Literacy Summit, right?
Yes, the research award. So he won the research award. He's the most humble, brilliant person. He just the lovely, lovely man. We took a picture with him, and he's just honestly, I think I was fangirling, and I normally don't fangirl, but he's just such a great, great guy and such a brilliant person.
What were your main takeaways, Faith?
So what I was really interested in the whole presentation. The three of them worked so well off of each other. And one thing that really struck me was how rhythm is so important to build phonemic awareness. And so there are things you could do in early childhood, replicating different patterns of sound. And, there's a lot to be learned. And then Carla has a school and in California, and she has been in touch. She's a scientist as well. And she's been in touch with John and Usha. And she does a lot of trial and error because her own son, I believe, could not read with even the best systematic, structured phonics. It wasn't working.
Was she the lady that was at the Athena School?
Yes, yes. So that was such a great presentation. Wait, honestly, we're going to try to bring each one of these people on because they were just so interesting.
I think she was, Faith, remind me, because it's been a little while now. So she was basically saying that for her own kids and in her own practice, in what she's seen with kids, that sometimes just the traditional approach itself wasn't enough, from what I remember as well, right?
That she was getting the best instruction, and they wanted to let people know that sometimes even great phonics programs are not going to work for everyone, and so that we really have to be nuanced and be a little bit more open to other things working. And that really resonates with me because we recently had an episode on with the AI and what's coming up in the near future. And I do think just like with rhythm and maybe music, AI is another one of these things. We have to stay open. And look, this came right out of, MIT and Cambridge. This is not, nonsense here. There's a lot going on that people don't know about. And right away, they're quick to say snake oil.
Snake oil.
But you really have to delve in a little bit deeper.
Right. And you have to wait for evidence to come out
Yes.
and extensive meta-analysis and all of that stuff. You have to wait because, things that we can have opinions on, we might be wrong or we might be right, but until there's hardcore evidence. And sometimes also people want to try different things before the evidence is fully out, and that's okay too. People are sometimes in a different place on where they feel, and sometimes people want to try things in pilot stages or Some people are more open-minded than other people. So it just really depends on where people are. You know what bothered me a little bit about the conference, though? I have to say something. So Faith and I think we did a kick-ass job. We did our 7-step podcasting plan on professional development, because very often you'll go to these conferences and you'll be like, okay, what did I learn? What did I not learn? One thing that I think that we did that I think was unique, Faith, when we did our 7-step plan, which I definitely want to talk to the audience more about, is we gave out like folders, like old school.
Yes.
Every person that attended our presentation walked away with a
Walked
folder,
away
with
something
resources.
else.
I didn't get a lot of those resources from other people. So like they had great presentations.
Just their
but
business cards. That's the only thing we walked away with were business cards. But we have
because right now,
value.
and that's hard, because like when you go to these conferences, you're hoping you really take away something. And it's not easy, because not everybody's memory is great. Not everybody is going to have an episode like Faith and I are, where we're talking about our takeaways. But that's something I'm passionate about. And that's why we started this whole concept of Takeaway Tuesday, because how often do you go to these conferences? You met somebody nice, you connected, you hung out at a pub, but you really don't know what you're going to take away from it. So I think that's something to think about. And that's something that was missing for me a little bit at the conference. Like I didn't walk away with a lot of resources. Like I would love to walk away with more articles and more research, but now I have to schlep or go online and look at all these websites. It's overwhelming, Faith. What do you think?
Well, I would have liked walking away with a cup of coffee. I mean, I have to say, the World Literacy Summit, you got to give people coffee. I'm sorry. The first day we were there, 7 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't find a cup of coffee. So
Faith was nice enough to stop into a little coffee shop on the way, and I think she treated some people, because she's a generous woman, to a cup of coffee in Oxford. I mean, walking the streets of Oxford. By the way, Oxford itself looks like a fairy tale. It looked like we were in like Harry Potter's bedroom or
yes,
world. It was just
everything.
it's the most beautiful place in the world. And despite not getting my morning cup of coffee, we did get a fabulous dinner out of them, though. That's another story. But I would go back in a heartbeat. The next conference is in 2027. I would go back. Initially, when Faith and I were going, I'm like, okay, this is one and done. And now I'm like counting the minutes, praying that I get to go to this again, because that's how damn fun it was. I mean, the people we hung out with, the energy. Wait till we tell you some other funny stories. Really fun stuff.
So, well, before we get to some of the funny things, another session that I absolutely loved, and I don't think you attended this one with me, Judy. This one was with Dr. Alex Chu, and he's the executive director of Reach Out and Read. And he presented with people we had dinner with. They were sitting to my side for that formal dinner. And that was Dr. Shabnam Lanewala, Dr. Lindsay Burkhart, and Susanna Holzenbeck. And they were presenting all on the early literacy and what you can do before kids even get to school. And that's my passion. So, like, my If Only I Would Have Known book is everything that they do, trying to get to kids' parents early on through sending out books, through initiatives that work with pediatricians, and trying to spread the message about early literacy and things that you could do before kids even enter school. And they did a fabulous job. Those are people I would love to also have on. And
where did I go when you were doing that?
I think you wanted to do something else, so we split up.
Wow.
I don't remember what you went to, but we weren't together for everyone, and I think I went to that one by myself. Yeah, but that was a really good one. So I'm hoping that we could get them on. They were so much fun. It was really a great session. So, all right, some of the fun stuff. All right, so we were on stage with MC Grammer. So for anyone who doesn't know MC Grammar, he raps with nursery rhymes, and he could turn anything into a rap. Anything that kids need to learn, he could turn into a rap. So near the end of the session, he asked for volunteers. So Judy's pointing over my head that I should go up there. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go up. And we're sitting right in the front row. And she's like, come on, come on. I said, no, I said, you go, you go. She said, all right, I'll go. So she goes with two other people, and it was a contest. And she was number 3. The other 2 went. She comes running over to me after the other 2 went. She said, Faith, I can't do this. I'm like, what do you mean? She said, Faith, I can't do this. You go up. You do it. You do it. Come on, you do it. Please, please, you got to save me. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, come on, I'll do it with you. I'll go up with you. Please come up with me. So I was like, all right, I'll go up with you. So I ended up rapping at Oxford, and Judy danced around and she twerked on the stage at Oxford doing Hey Diddle Diddle.
Yeah, I never thought in my life that I would see Faith as a rapper. She did a pretty good, she really got into it. You know, she has some good rhythm. You know, she was good.
I dance, I do it.
So my takeaway from MC Grammar, I'm a little ticked off. You know, we asked him to come on the Literacy View. He's a little too busy. Okay, but that's okay. I'm not going to hold it personally. But what I did take away from MC Grammar, I think he had a great idea. So I think his story was interesting. So he actually, I think, fell into this. I think he's an educator, I think, and he was doing something for his own child. I think he made a rap for his own kid, and then it went viral, and now he's MC Grammar. So I think the concept is interesting. I thought it was great. He kept showing, like, almost like you could do rap or stories as a shared reading with music and get kids reading and get kids excited about seeing words on the page and singing. So people that say structured literacy can't be fun, it sure can. And it was great to see words on the page, and we were almost doing like in this large auditorium with a whole group of passionate literacy people from all over the world, whether it be Uganda,
the Cayman
Islands, everywhere. We were all doing a choral song and chant to nursery rhymes. And I think nursery rhymes in general are forgotten in the classrooms. I think that they do have value, and just reading together and having a shared experience reading as a class is so valuable, and it helps phrasing and fluency, and it helps with phrasing and fluency. It helps with rhythm. It helps with so many things. So I think that was my big takeaway from his presentation.
And with memory. So when you put something to a beat, it does something. And to me, his work jives with the research in a way that I just mentioned. So it was very interesting to see that, and that was a fun one.
It was hilarious. I never in a million years thought that I would go to Oxford and be twerking on stage and dancing on stage, but that's who I am.
But
and people that say structured literacy people are boring, Faith, do you think we're boring?
No, as a matter of fact, what's interesting, we said it, and even our UK friends said it. The Americans are more dynamic than the Brits at presenting. That's a generalization, but I have to say, you know, that the Brits are reserved and they certainly know their stuff. But I do think Americans just have a little more fun presenting, maybe a little bit more showmanship. But there was a big difference when I watched Americans present compared to people from the UK. What did you think?
I don't know if I noticed it so much. The UK always fascinates me. I know what you're saying a little bit. Yes, they're maybe more reserved than we are, but I think that their content and their knowledge and things
100%. That goes without saying.
So I could take the less twerking from because what they have to say is often they're exceeding us in so many ways. I mean, what was the latest thing? Like I think I just learned that, the way they teach nonsense words is very unique in the UK. And we also ran into Kathy Rassel on stage, right? And she is dynamic. I mean, her messaging about what they're doing in the UK is so special. I mean, they don't rely on all these quote unquote programs. They have books and align it to the standards, and they're getting great results. So do we
Kathy,
need to spend $1,000,001? What'd
by
you
the
say,
way,
Faith?
Kathy said she wants to come back on the literacy
What'd
view.
you take away from Kathy Russell's message in the UK? What were your main takeaways from her?
So, you know something, she does a lot of work. She's a brilliant woman, and she does a lot of work with vocabulary through authentic books, and how, children can get so much out of uh, reading books without having to do these separate lessons, tying in just authentic trade books into the classroom. She's just fabulous. I had a conversation with her about what's going on here in the United States with what the hot topics are. And she's like, bring me back. And I said, you got it. We're going to bring you back, because she really knows her stuff. And I hope that she does return. She's great. Let's see. Another presentation. We met an Australian woman who was absolutely lovely.
Boy, do we generally love the Aussies. We
Yeah,
love our Aussie literacy fan viewers. We are getting really popular in Australia, really popular in New Zealand, and we really had fun partying with the Australians in general at the World Literacy Summit. There were a lot of Australian people.
yeah, a lot of fun. So Tanya Grambauer, Tanya has an organization. She founded Literacy for Boys. And I mean, she also does literacy for all children, but that's her thing, Literacy for Boys. And she had some just great ideas about engaging boys in reading. She mentioned the idea of really taking their interests and running with it to get them to read, and giving them a reason to go read. She just did a really great presentation. She's someone who wants to come on the show as well. What did you get out of Tanya's session?
Well, first of all, I'm a boy mom, so I've always loved working with boys in general. It's funny, in my private clientele, I would say 75% of my private clients are boys. I don't know why. Maybe boys struggle more in literacy than girls. I don't know the evidence and research. You might know that more than I do, but everything she said kind of validated what I already kind of knew, but I'm really passionate about. I think boys very often in education are misunderstood. I think a lot of our classrooms aren't meeting the needs of boys. They want boys to fit this norm. And a lot of our boys are a little bit quirky, and they have different interests, and they move their bodies a little differently. And they might be interested in things that we're not talking about in the classroom. Maybe it's Roblox, maybe it's Minecraft, maybe it's Boy Scouts. Who knows what it is? But I think that, if we just stay stuck in this mold that fidelity means we can't read things that are maybe interesting to the kids in our class, whether it be boys or girls, but in this case, boys, we're going to lose a lot of our readers and not engage a lot of our kids. And we have to hook those kids to want to read and to want to write. And what a beautiful and authentic way to do it, by finding topics that interest them. Are we giving kids in the classroom voice at all? Are we?
Well, you know what? I do think that sometimes it's I think there are probably as many girls as boys, or close to it, who struggle, but a lot of times boys could be a little more active, as far as needing to move a little bit more. And school is really not set up for little boys. It's just it's very rule based and sitting quietly, and that's rewarded. And little girls have probably an easier time. I'm not, and this is a generalization, but I definitely think we need to give some attention to boys. And Tanya has some great ideas And I really enjoyed her
I
session.
agree. And I think it's amazing, like when people get passionate about literacy and also like find their niche on what they're really passionate about, because that's very special. Because like, you know, boys need an advocate and kids in general need advocates. And it's amazing to find people that are just so passionate about like a certain area in literacy. You don't find that often, that somebody's that passionate about a certain area. So that was very unique to see. I loved
Mhm.
it.
What you think of Gabrielle Mace? And she was the one who did the library program. I could tell you that as soon as I saw in the title of her presentation, Murder Mystery, I was there because I love murder mysteries. I love the whole genre of mystery. So when I saw that she was doing something with that, I was there, and it did not disappoint. She planned a whole program. She works with research, library research, to get kids interested in utilizing all the resources and to use their critical thinking skills on research, but making it fun. And the murder mystery was an example that she used with this program called Access It. Was that it? Access It? Yeah, it's a custom dashboard for the library that you could create all these different types of things for kids to do research on different topics. That was a really different, interesting session. What'd you
I
think?
thought it was fantastic. First of all, she's also from Australia. Boy, are the Australian people just vibrant, passionate, gorgeous people and fun and just cool to hang out with. I think that she's onto something brilliant. It's interesting. The work she was doing, it seemed like it was targeted at a boys' school, but I think it's a concept that could be expanded to anybody. I think libraries and schools, especially in the States, uh school libraries aren't functioning that well, and it's a lot of BS from a lot of these bureaucrats that say that reading is a priority, but a lot of schools don't even have fully functioning libraries, let alone murder mysteries happening in their libraries. But I thought the concept of adding themes into our libraries to engage students was brilliant. She was showing how it's done for like older readers that have possibly struggled or not been as invested in reading. And she made it so engaging and so user friendly that she sets up this website with different places for the kids to go to investigate the library, and there's so much reading involved, but because you're solving a mystery, you're not even realizing you're reading, so you're so invested. There's a element of gaming and edutainment, which is
Well,
something Faith
that's
and
why we
I
wanted to go.
are.
Remember?
Yeah.
Once we thought it was gamification, we were there because that's part of our seven-step plan. And that was included in our presentation. And we said,
Faith,
okay, let's go.
tell people why we're passionate about the concept of edutainment. Isn't there some evidence and research that aligns to, that as a way of learning?
We provided all the research in our presentation and our handouts about gamification and how it helps with learning and how you can make it fun for not just children, but for adults as well. And so that was something that we tested out. We did a game show a couple of months ago to test people's knowledge from listening to the Literacy View. And it was a lot of fun. People had their telephones where they had to punch in their answers, their responses, and we had winners, and adults loved it. It was so much.
Right. And the beauty of edutainment as a concept, you could do it digital. You could do it old school.
Mhm.
The thing that we're doing with edutainment that we presented in Oxford and ties into what we saw with the library presentation is we had games where people are holding up true or false, but BS or cheers. And now it's like catching on like wildfire. So edutainment doesn't have to be digital. It could be old school. It could be new school. But I think my main takeaway from that presentation is let's make our learning more immersive. Let's make it thematic. Let's make it fun. Let's make it something that kids are invested in. Let's gamify it. Let's, our libraries don't have to be dull,
Mhm.
and they have to be used, and we want to make kids want to read. There's so many distractions out there. How can we engage our kids? So I think kudos to her, and we'll definitely have her on the literacy view.
Yeah, definitely. So we also met Sheriff Christopher Swanson. And so he was the founder of Ignite, and his session was Ignite from Incarceration to Education. And it's the 21st century answer to a global crisis. And his whole thing is about how he engages um, prisoners into the idea that he's going to listen. People want to feel heard and to listen and to actually follow through with trying to help the prison population. And he gained their
Give a
respect.
little bit of a backstory to his story. I think he was involved or around when George Floyd was murdered.
Yes. So he kind of calmed the crowd down. There were a lot of irate people. And
Right.
he,
And I think like his whole point was like, okay, people want, some people wanted to riot, some people, and he decided, you know what, why don't we just start listening to what's on people's mind? Because maybe we can calm things down when we actually start to have conversations. I thought that was really powerful, that
yeah,
concept.
100%, 100%. So, he is very interesting. I believe that he's a politician now. I think that he's running for some office. I don't remember. Was it governor? I'm not even sure.
He's running for governor of, is it Michigan? I think it's Michigan.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm not really sure, but
I think he's running for governor of Michigan, and I think his main message, from what I was gathering, is that everybody deserves a second chance. And now some people might feel that that's not right. It's hard to think about that, especially if somebody was convicted of a very serious crime. But the honest truth is that a lot of research says that a lot of people that are in prison can't read. And
that's what I want to bring out. So how does this all tie into literacy? His whole thing is that if we help trying to get these prisoners up to a functional, um, age in literacy in terms of being able to get through things, they could go out and get jobs, they become different people. It gives them, like you said, a second chance if they're able to read. A lot of these prisoners, many prisoners, had problems in school and could not read. So, he has a really interesting way about him. He definitely is passionate about literacy and about helping people. And he did actually two presentations. One was by himself talking about the prison population and what he did to try to change things around, and he was recognized for that. But he also had a big impact on Jelly Roll. And Jelly Roll was one of the presenters there, and he presented with Jelly Roll the journey of a little boy from broken to beautifully broken. And that was
Jelly Roll, tell people who Jelly Roll is. Some people might not know. I as famous as Jelly Roll is, I didn't really know Jelly Roll, but he's apparently hot stuff in the music world, Faith.
right, right.
I
I
think he's like a country rapper or something, right?
Yeah, you know what? His music, I only started to listen a little to want to know who he is because I really didn't know. I heard his name,
Can
but
I just say something funny? So, my partner Paul attended, and Faith's husband was there. Paul was so excited because his girls are obsessed with Jelly Roll. Paul ran on stage to take pictures with Jelly Roll. And when he came back from this World Literacy Summit, nobody cared about Judy presenting. Everybody was like, wow, Paul, you took a picture with Jelly Roll. But Jelly Roll's story was interesting. So apparently, Jelly Roll, I was Googling after, he had a history of, being in prison. He ran into hardship in life and so forth. But, when he became literate, his whole life turned around, and now he's one of, America's most famous musicians, and he turned around his life.
And he gives back. He's very passionate about helping other people. That's what struck me, that he doesn't just take this lightly. He
I
really.
think they added his name, Faith, to like the Literacy View Foundation. I think he's now like, what was he like? What is that when you're like now attached to the summits forever?
What do you mean? The Literacy View Foundation?
Like he's now he's part of the World Literacy.
Oh,
Like
World Literacy Summit. Oh, I guess I don't know. I really don't know.
he's like on their like official thing now. Like I think he's making it his mission to make sure that more people, especially people that have run into hardship like himself. I think he will possibly had substance abuse and stuff, turn their lives around. I think that's a beautiful thing. Who knows? Maybe Jelly Roll's listening, and maybe Jelly Roll wants to come on the Literacy View. I know Faith did invite the sheriff. We're waiting to hear back. His team did write back to us. He did tell us at the summit. He walked up to us because we were impressed with the message that he had, and he said he's definitely coming on. So we're waiting to hear back from him.
I hope it's not just that he flashed a nice smile at me.
He was good looking. I'm not going to lie. He was
I'm
nice on
telling
the
you,
eye.
all the women in the audience, I think they just wanted to see his smile. All right, moving on. Let's see. We had Sunita Gandhi. We had dinner at the same table as Sunita, and Sunita is somebody who founded the Disruptive Literacy Initiative, a roadmap for urgent global action. That was her session. And we ended up having dinner at the same table at the formal dinner, and we met her, and she's lovely. And I think she's going to be coming on the Literacy View.
And this is my favorite story. I've told it now probably 2 or 3 times on the Literacy View, but just in case somebody doesn't know it, I'm going to tell the fast forward version of it. So I felt like we came full circle when we met Sunita at the Worldwide Literacy Conference. Faith and I were brought together by a woman named Mary. If you watch episode 1, 2, and 3, or maybe 4 episodes, Mary used to do the podcast with us. Mary quit, and that's fine. Nice lady. The blessing is that she brought Faith and I together, who are very passionate about this. So Mary was telling us about this lady, Sunita. We weren't even going to start a podcast. This all started because we were told there was this lady, Sunita, who does literacy in India, and Faith and I were invited to do a conference in India.
Oh, yeah, disruptive. I looked it up. Disruptive literacy. And so I think it was going to be the Disruptive Literacy Conference.
And Faith and I didn't know each other from a hole in the wall. I didn't know, am I going to like Faith? Is she going to be too SOR for me? Am I going to have a hard time? What am I getting into? But I love Faith. And Mary brought us together, so God bless her. I hope she's fine. But the funny thing is, we didn't know if Sunita was real because all of a sudden, Mary stopped mentioning this lady, Sunita. So we're like thinking, and Faith and I are like side texting, what the fuck is going on? Is Sunita real or is she not real? I know, I cursed. I'm sorry. We could tweet it and block it. Anyway, we didn't know if she's real. And we didn't know if that was fake news or not fake news. Anyway, all of a sudden, I see who's going to be presenting at this conference. And I'm like, Faith, it says Sunita Gandhi. That must be the woman. Faith's like, come on, Judy, no way. I'm like, no, I think it's her. Then there we are at the World Literacy Conference. The dinner, we're like at this royal ball. It was magnificent. If I'm telling you, the feelings that I had walking into this dinner will stay with me for the rest of my life. Faith looked like $1 million. Her husband looked fantastic. My partner, Paul, was being nice. Everything was great. We're walking. It looks like a Harry Potter world. And we sit down at the table, and I see a name card on the table, and it says Sunita Gandhi. I'm like, Faith, this cannot be happening. She's real.
She's real.
So like a half hour into the dinner, I'm looking at Faith. Faith is looking at me. And then we decide to walk over to this beautiful angel of a woman, Sunito, who is real. And we tell her our story. She had no idea who we were. So that clearly shows that maybe Mary never really mentioned this to Sunita, or Sunita forgot. Sunita was charmed by us. We felt the energy in the room. She was passionate. She felt our beautiful energy. We felt her. And Sunita will be coming on the Literacy View. I cannot wait. Faith, just so you know, she sent me an article. I'll send it to you tomorrow so you could review it, because she definitely has a lot to offer the world. And I feel like I thanked Sunita when I saw her, and I said, thanks for bringing us together. You're the reason Faith and I are here. So isn't that a crazy story, Faith?
Really is. It is amazing. It's just the world is such a small place with how you meet people, and you never know who you're going to meet. It was pretty amazing. So here's what struck me about the World Literacy Summit. It was so interesting to me that I've been going to all these SOR conferences. We were at the Everyone Reading and Research Ed. This one was very different. And, I was a little surprised that some of the sessions were still kind of balanced literacy. It's not like they screened them out to see if it met any sort of, science of reading minimum, minimal requirement. I don't know. It was just very strange that some of these sessions were balanced literacy. So I haven't seen that in a while. And then the other thing that was so interesting to me about this conference was how diverse it really is. Now, when they say World Literacy Summit, they mean it. Like, we met people from South Africa, uh, from Grand Cayman Islands, from
Uganda.
yeah, everywhere. It was just amazing. There were
Oh, we also met somebody from Malaysia who's a big fan of the Literacy View. And
yes,
she said that where she's from actually wasn't Malaysia. It was
but we did meet somebody from Malaysia. We did. Maybe
but there was another section or something. Anyway, where she's from, they said that they had a 95% literacy rate, and that the first language that they're teaching kids in that country, I'm going to look it up, is English. So isn't it amazing that there's so many pockets of success that we don't really speak about? And that was the biggest takeaway for me. Like, there's so many good things happening in the world, and why aren't we talking more about it? I feel like in the United States, we're just talking to the same old people and seeing the same old people at these conferences. And yeah, we're not seeing enough diversity. And we noticed that when Faith and I went to Research Ed in New York City. It was my favorite conference. I loved it. There were so many things about that conference, and I will be back year after year. But we saw more diversity in the conference in at the World Literacy Summit.
and you think like New York City, you would think there would be a lot of people, a diverse audience, and it really wasn't. So, it's just this conference really definitely represented people from all over the world. And what's interesting is the topics were not the same again and again. Like, it's mind numbing sometimes, the same thing over and over and over again. These were so different, like, the mystery, the librarian who did the mysteries, and just a lot of cool stuff. So I definitely would recommend, if you have not gone to this type of conference, this is a fabulous one.
Faith, I want to mention something controversial. So I think there was a great speaker at the conference. I think he was not a keynote, but he had a big duration of time. He was dynamic, I thought. He spoke
Oh, is that Josh Clark?
he spoke
Yeah.
about he spoke about dyslexia. I think he was funny as hell. He told so many stories about being a dyslexic child and what it felt like, and how he struggled in the classroom and how he did quirky things that nobody thought were funny, but now people think that they were funny. Remember, he showed the illustrations of himself as a little boy, or urinating or peeing or something really funny. But I think he also said something that some people weren't blown away about. And I think it was the topic of dyslexia as a superpower. He felt that it is his superpower. What do you think, Faith?
Well, something, I think if that gives you confidence, and it makes you feel like you could conquer the world because you have some superpower ability, fine, but it's not. I mean, I want to be clear. There's no research to say that people with dyslexia have superpowers. I think what happens is they use their strengths and they develop their strengths because they have weakness in one area. They end up compensating, and maybe that appears to be a superpower, but whatever works for you. All in all, he was a lot of fun to listen to, really dynamic.
I
And
think he was dynamic. I think he was incredible. His energy, his zest, his passion. And you know what the most beautiful thing was to see how many of our dyslexic individuals in this world, they overcome their struggles in some way and just end up doing dynamic things. And I think that's the most important thing to remember, that, just because you have things that you're struggling with doesn't mean that you cannot, achieve.
I do think the men also were definitely more animated than the women. I'll say, if I were to compare, definitely the male presenters were pretty memorable in terms of.
I agree, Faith. That was a big thing that stood out to me too. I often find men in literacy are very dynamic. In general, at a lot of conferences that I go, they're like more. I almost feel like a lot of the men presenters had more zest and more humor and more just connected with the audience. Well, the country that I was mentioning that had the high literacy rate is a part of. It has cultural ties to Malaysia. It was Brunei. She said
Ah,
that they have a 95% success rate.
I
So I
remember
definitely
that
want to
now.
I want to reach out to her. I want to find out, why are they so successful? What are they doing?
Yeah, it is interesting, but like you're right, you're definitely right. It's why aren't we looking at other parts of the world and seeing what they're doing? It was just a very interesting conference. And to tie everything up, we'll finish up right now. What was your favorite thing that we did in Oxford? Or what was the most memorable part of the conference?
The most memorable, for me, it was really presenting with Faith for the third time. We did this presentation 3 times, and it was about our 7-step podcasting plan. And each time was such a great learning experience. I never really applied for a lot of conferences. Faith just, ran with this and applied to 3 different conferences, and I tagged along, and we presented the same content with different durations of time. One conference was like an hour and 20 minutes. One conference was like 45 minutes. And this one was 20 minutes. And, I'm like, oh my God, I'm flying to Europe to present for 20 minutes. But the big takeaway was, it was priceless to be able to get your message across to the world in such a succinct fashion, and to be so thoughtful of what's key that you want people walking away with, was such a unique and powerful experience. But also the challenge. Faith kept saying, like, this whole process, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know how we're going to do it. This is going to be hard. How are we going to get down to 20 minutes? And to know that we accomplished that as a team was so unique. And, this was my first time traveling with Faith. A couple of years ago, I didn't know who Faith was. 4 years ago or 5 years ago, Faith wasn't a part of my life. And now she's like family to me. And whether we agree or disagree, to be able to share that experience with her husband and my partner, Paul, and, just travel and meet like-minded, passionate people that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And it also reminded me, life is such a beautiful thing. Sometimes, you forget that. I have my bad days that I, can't even believe that we have to record another episode of the Literacy View, or that I have to go to work and, have my schedule ready and visit a million classrooms where, you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. But, life is a beautiful thing. And I think this trip inspired me to know that I still have so much I want to do, so many places I want to see, so many more people that I want to talk to. And I definitely got the travel bug. I mean, I can't wait till Faith applies to another conference and I say, sure, I'm going. That was number one for me. It wasn't seeing the famous people. It was just about the feeling of being with passionate, like-minded people like that. That feeling is just so special.
Yeah, there was a lot of great energy. And I think that's a very interesting point you brought up about the time frame, how we took the same presentation and we had to cut it down because we started with the one where we had the longest amount of time, which is actually the easiest. You would think like, oh, the longer it's harder, but no, the longer it's easier because then you could pace yourself and feel comfortable and go off a little bit. But when you have to start tightening it up and then to have a really short amount of time to present, it really forces you to be in the moment, to just know this is what I have to say, this is what I have to do, kind of like a takeaway Tuesday, right? Like that's the whole point, to try to get everything down to a short amount of time and leave with something important. So I was proud of us that we did that. It was good.
Yeah, I think it was great. I think the host was really great also. Do you remember his name? I think his name was Dr. Don Green. He was the board of directors for the World Literacy Foundation. He was really great too. I hope to have him on. He was charming, energetic, really got the crowd going. And yeah, he loved our twerking, so kudos to him. Everybody knew us at the end of this conference. They didn't know us for our 7
When
steps.
you did our twerking, no, it was your twerking.
and you're rapping. And the other great thing is we will hopefully our presentation will be live, so you'll be able to see what we're offering to schools, part of our professional development, our 7-step plan. Hopefully it goes viral and everybody wants to bring us to their school to do this great work. Faith, I loved it. I can't wait till you apply for the next conference. I definitely need a conference break for a couple of weeks, but it was magnificent.
And we'll share when those videos come out, when they post everything.
Yeah, and hopefully people could learn about all these people that we spoke about today. Was there anybody amazing that we might have missed, Faith?
I'm looking.
There was another guy that spoke. He was pretty good too, but see, that's the problem with the conference. I didn't walk away with any pamphlets, papers, and sometimes it's hard to remember, and that's what's really kind of hard. I just hope in general people start thinking about how can we make more of an impact after attending any conference. What are we doing with that information? Faith, what are you doing with your information? Are you doing anything?
You know what? Truthfully, I think that we are really going to work with this gamification more when we really flesh it out. I think we have some great ideas going.
And I think also the fact that we're going to bring these people that we did see back so we
Yes.
could dig deeper is important. And I think the other important thing is the literacy view is moving in the direction that we're going to also, put our learning into categories. Like if we're going to have multiple sessions about, education for boys, we'll group them. If we have multiple sessions about writing, we'll group them. Or we could group it for your schools, or you can group them for your schools as well.
Right. So just like there's a playlist for music, this would be a
No more one and done.
Right. All right. So let's wrap up. Thank you for listening. We'll be in touch with you when the videos come out, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, everybody. Changing lives one view at a time. And you can advertise with the Literacy View and contact us at faithandjudy@gmail.com for our consulting services. Bye now.
Bye.